Grand Rising, and welcome to the Voice of Cheryl. I am Toothless Tiger, and today I'm going to be wearing the hat that represents this shirt, and that is Amy's Babies. For my nieces and nephews, and many of their friends, they all call me Aunt Cheryl. So today I'm coming in the name of Aunt Cheryl. Let me say that this is my story. It is a true story. The names have been changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. I found that when you're telling your story, oftentimes you're telling someone else's secret, especially when you talk about your experiences with other people. And so that is not my desire. So I spoke with my daughter, and that's what I call her. She's my great niece, and got her permission to be able to tell this story. So here I go. I was the seventh child of eight children that belonged to my mom and dad. And I have a niece who had a baby at a young age. My sister wasn't really ready to process that. And let me go back so I can tell you a little bit more of the story so that you can understand this story as I explain to you Amy's Babies and where Amy's Babies came from. I'm going to go back to, I would say, when I discovered after I gave birth to my only child that I had a third degree heart block. And I found that out 1 month later after giving birth to him. And I was told that I could die in childbirth. So immediately I got my tubes tied because I'm just going to tell you about me. I am all the way life. I don't believe in abortion. But when they told me that if I got pregnant, I could die or the child could die, the child is gone. So to keep me from having to make any of those decisions, I made what I felt was the right decision for me, and that was to have my tubes tied because I didn't want to die in childbirth and I didn't want to have to abort a baby. Speaking of aborting a baby, as I tell this story, of course, I'm going to go all over the place as I always do. But I was looking at a video that Kwame shared today with Miss Angela Stanton, and it was really something to hear. I'm for knowledge and learning, especially knowing who we are, where we come from. And the only way we can really do that is learn who we were before we were slaves. And that takes some research and it takes some work. Many of us want to be better, we want to do better, but we leave out one factor. And the factor that we leave out is the factor of you. I call it the you factor. You talk to people and they're in a situation and they may say, well, I think I just want to move, just start all over again. And it's nothing wrong with that concept. The problem comes when you don't realize that wherever you go, you're going to take you with you. So anything that happens in your life is dependent upon you to take responsibility for you. So I can tell you all day that you're hurting my feelings, but it's up to me how I choose to process that pain. But if I tell you and you tell me, so what? Then I know for me, I have to let it go. I'm 63 years old. The last time I was on here was right before my birthday, October 26th. And I was on my way to Atlanta. Had a beautiful time in Atlanta. The first day I was there, I damn near got killed. And I say that for real. I'm in a wheelchair because I don't, get around much. and I can't walk long distances without being out of breath due to my congestive heart failure. And I am a smoker. I've been smoking off and on since I was 12 years old. And everyone say, why don't you quit? And I would love to, maybe. I don't like the smell. I don't like the taste. But hell, I think I'm addicted to the nicotine and I like inhaling and exhaling. And so I feel that, one day we're all going to go. And since I can't do much in life, I want to enjoy some of the things in life that I'm accustomed to enjoying. And some may argue with that, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. It's not going to change anything. I believe in the you factor, and I make decisions for me. With that being said, I'm sitting out there smoking a cigarette while everyone is checking into the hotel. How did everyone leave me out there? I do not know. I had the privilege of meeting some great young men, up and coming, aspiring artists. And we were sitting out in the smoking section, and this real handsome little guy reminded me of Chris Brown. I saw this guy that was over to the right of me, and he was talking to an older man and another gentleman. And then I saw him come up, and he had a board in his hand, something like a checkerboard. And he had some tops in his hand, something like a top that goes on a soda. I was trying to see if I had one around, but yeah, something like this. And so he had money in his hand. So I knew that was going to be some shit right there when I saw the money in his hand, the board and the top. So he walked over to the nice looking little fella and he said to him something. I couldn't hear everything that he was saying, but his back was to me and I'm sitting there looking at this. And, my mind don't think like most people. My mom used to tell me all the time that my mouth was going to get me in trouble. I really didn't understand what she meant by that when she used to tell me that. And I know she told me I talk too much, but I think the essence of what she was trying to tell me was that telling the truth to people will get you in trouble. Because most people can't handle the truth. And they certainly don't want to hear the truth. And they damn sure don't want to hear it coming from you. You would be me. Okay. So, anywho, I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette. I thought I was minding my own damn business. And this guy walked over to that guy and said what he said. So I said, my mama taught me that a con man doesn't just con. Before I could get the you out, the guy turned around and told me to mind my business. And I said, okay. So he went back to talking to the young fellow, and I said again, my mama told me that a con man doesn't just pick you to con. And he turned around again, and this time he looked at me with that death stare, and he said to me, and my mama told me to mind your own business, and you'll live longer. So I'm saying in my head, oh shit. So I go, well, my daddy taught me that accident death, you stay dead just as long. I say, but what I neglected to tell you is that I'm a federal agent. He looked at me. Now, what I didn't tell him is I'm a retired federal agent, disabled federal agent. But he looked at me and he told the young fellow whatever he told him, and he moved around. So when one of the ladies that accompanied me on the trip to Atlanta came and asked me, what are you doing? I told her, about to die. Get me out this motherfucker. And this little old man that was with that guy was sitting in front, and he's sitting over there, ma'am, no, nothing's going to happen to you. He's not going to do anything to you. Don't worry. I told her, get me out of here. So I told that story just to break the ice, to let you know who I am and how I do it. And so I told my son about it, and he said, Mama, you can't be doing shit like that. You was in a town where they really do that kind of stuff. I said, son, let me tell you, I understand what you're saying, but my mind thinks a little different than most people. See, I spend most of my days when I'm not on YouTube, I look at ID, investigation discovery. I don't like the reality TV that they have for us on TV because that's not our reality. But I look at ID where it's truly these people reality because they've lost loved ones or attempts on loved ones' lives. And I look at that and I don't know why I look at it. I'm not into death, but I'm into that. And I think it's the connection with the human family and knowing that we lose so many children on a daily basis and nobody is concerned. We have so many people addicted to drugs and homeless, and no one gives a damn, not even us. So it, kind of, I guess, just connects me with the families. And I cry a lot, and I cheer when something good happens. But what I was sharing with him is, see, I've seen enough that what if I'd have sat there and not said anything and allowed that young guy to take this young fella's money, and then he decide he doesn't want any witnesses, and he turned around and sprayed the whole damn smoking area. It wasn't shit I can do because, trust me, I could not run. I couldn't even try to jump up out the damn chair. So I used what my dad called my mother wit. And a lot of people don't understand mother wit, but it's your intuition. See, when you start learning who you are and who we were before we were slaves, you will come to know that all knowledge that we admire in other people, we taught it to them. And they separated us from each other so that we wouldn't remember. And all it takes is a generation or two for you to wipe out the memory of a whole generation of people. And that's what they did to us when they came over and occupied our land and took us as prisoners in our own land. And there are so many things that they didn't teach us, and we don't seem to want to know. There's so much happening today, and I look at YouTube and I see the women still bickering and calling each other bitches and hoes and talking about things that just shouldn't be mentioned on a public forum. And our young men are dying, and it's a strategy to that. That's just not because they're angry with each other. We've had beefs all our lives, but we didn't take to the streets and gun people down with assault rifles. You know, it's really disheartening to know that our people has not progressed much since we were enslaved. And, there was a time when they did not want us to read and we were not allowed to read. And then when they wanted us to read, they gave us what to read, which was a book called the Bible. And a lot of people think because I declare who I am, which is a Moorish American, a Moabite woman, that I'm atheist. We can't be atheists. There's no way. I am connected to the source. I just can't tell you what the source is. And in my mind, the source is not a man because all life begins with a woman. How do I know that? Because I'm a woman and I carried a son for 9 months. And he was connected to me by his umbilical cord, as was every human that was born. They were connected to their mother. So they teach us things out of order, and then they have us acting out of order. And then we remain and volunteer to stay out of order. We could change the trajectory of our lives if we chose to, but many of us dare not to choose to. Some of it is fear. The majority of it is fear. I lived in the same fear until I came into the knowledge of who I am. And I am. And I love that. I wish I could give it to everybody, but many of us can't receive it. And that's okay. I always tell people I don't agree to disagree with people. I don't. Shit, we just disagree. I don't like the statement that, facts is facts and my opinion is my opinion. I don't give a damn about your opinion if I don't give a damn about your opinion. But if I respect you, then of course your opinion is fine. But opinions are not always right, even though we say they're just my opinion. You're not always right. Neither am I. Contrary to some people's belief. I have a lot of low-line haters and who pretend to love you. And that's when they need questions answered or something done for them. But on a regular basis, they really secretly hating you. And that hurts. But what I've learned to do at the age of 63 is to accept them for who they are and move forward. Because none of us know the hour when we won't awaken to another rising. So as long as I'm able and have breath in my body, I'm going to be me and I'm going to do what I do. So now let me take you back to the story of being the seventh child. My mom had 8 kids, and we had a daddy that was actually in the home when he was in the home. I kind of told this story before, but my dad was the type of dad that would say he was going to the store, and hell, he might be gone for a year. But when I think of my mom, what a woman, what a woman, what a mighty good woman. And if you ever want to know the role of a woman, since we all seem to be confused, just go to the book. You know, the one, the Bible, the one you believe in. I do too, the truth of the Bible. Go to Proverbs 31. Start somewhere around 10. And understand who and what a woman is. You will be surprised of all of the many things that she is. What she means to her husband and what she means to her children. My mother had 1, 2, 3 children back to back. And what I like to do is I like to go with the year in which we were born. That's how I remember all of our birth dates. We have 1947, 1948, 1949, 1951, 1953, 1956, 1958. Number 7, that's me, in 1960. And from what I can remember, like I said, my dad was always around, but he was also always gone. So sometimes it seems like my mom was a single mom. And my mom worked 2 jobs. And I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but sometimes when you go to tell your story, it seems like that you're revealing someone else's secret. Because when you tell of your interactions with people, some of the things are not pretty. And maybe some of the things people didn't know. But my mom worked 2 jobs and she was a maid. They call them domestic workers today, domestic engineers and all that good shit. But she was a maid nonetheless. And she also worked doing alterations at one of the first Moorish American cleaners in Dallas, Texas, Oak Cliff, Texas. My uncle owned it, her brother, and she was his alteration lady. But she also did the pressing as well, the cleaning. My mama worked hard. And being the seventh child, I was her baby girl. I watched my mom work hard. And, this may somewhere in here get a little bit much for me because I'm a shit talker, but I'm a tearjerker too. So I'll do my best to get through this story, but I got to tell it because I need your help. Okay, so my mom worked, and it seems she was never off work. She seems she was never tired because not only did she take care of 8 children, and 7 of us were all together, my baby brother, her sister actually reared him. And of course, as a kid, you have no concept of why or what that means and how that happened, but it happened. And my aunt had no children, so that was a perfect match, I guess, for she and her husband and my baby brother, other than the fact that he wasn't with us. And I got to know the baby. So, being the little girl, 2 years old when he came, and when my aunt took him, I don't know the age, but he was a baby. And I felt like she was taking my baby. As a little bitty 2 year old, we get attached and we have those feelings. But be that as it may, my mom worked and worked. She took care of her mom. And what I mean by that is she took her to the doctor and took her to the grocery store because her older sister lived with my grandmother. And she did a very good job of taking care of her mother. Oftentimes we listen to people complain about people, and, it's just like my mama's brother who had the cleaners. Um, he did not pay my mama right. And then they were real mean to her because they all had something to say, her siblings, I'm talking, and I'm sure other people had something to say about my dad. But whenever my dad showed back up, they all licked his, well, I'm not going to use that terminology, but they all kissed his ass and grinned and laughed, and he was the best fella ever going. But all while he was gone, she was the biggest damn fool, and she need to quit having all them damn babies. And, it's that kind of thing. And mind you, I'm number 7, so I didn't hear all of this. I heard some of it. But my older siblings have memories that are painful. And to their children, they're the best parents ever. And I don't want to take that away from them, but to us and my mom, they were very painful, very rude, very disrespectful, and was always at our house, eating our lunch meat, our cereal. And we would get whoopings from my mom because they did that. And we certainly couldn't tell them not to. Today's children have no clue of what respect is all about. And it's not about saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. It's not respect. It's what Master required, and that's what we did. So I say that maybe to my older brothers and sisters because that's what they're accustomed to. But it is written, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. So I can say yes and no and feel just as good. But back to the story at hand. As I grew up, I started working at a young age. A lot of us did, my siblings. And I used to give damn near my whole check to my mom because at a young age, I don't know how, maybe that's where my codependency started, but I felt the need to take care of my mom because she did such a great job with us. We lived in the projects of Oak Cliff, Texas. And Christmas was a time of year that we had no clue that we were poor. None whatsoever. Every year after Thanksgiving, we put up a Christmas tree. We had Christmas lights in the window. We had a box of Washington apples. It was like 48 in a box. We had a bag of Crocosack bag, if you remember those orange Crocosack bags. We had oranges and we had grapefruits. So you had an orange bag and a yellow bag. We had it all kind of mixed nuts and all of the beautiful candies, you know. And we had gifts under the tree. And we used to have an aluminum tree. And boy, I thought that was the most prettiest tree in the world, the aluminum tree, until they came out with the green tree. Well, that was just Christmas. But we got new clothes every 4th of July. Of course, you know, you had to have your little Easter flock. And you had to, you know, have your barbecues for Labor Day, Memorial Day. You got your little short outfit that was kind of like your first little short outfit you got for the summer. 4th of July, we had Halloween candy, trick or treat. We had all the trimmings for Thanksgiving. Everybody, you know, would come to our house, in and out. But my cousins and all, we used to be family. We used to help each other. And it wasn't a problem. At least as a kid, that's what you think. But you really don't know what's going on and what people are saying about the person that they're helping. And half of them don't want to help, and you don't even know why the hell they helped because they didn't have to. It's their choice. But as you get older, you start seeing things a little bit different. So I told you the history of my mom, my birth, how I felt, and how I wanted to take care of her because of her struggle. So now I'm going to take you back to the story of my niece and my great niece and my sister. When my niece had the baby, she was of a young age, and I could not have any more children. So what I did was ask them to let me have the baby. Well, I got the baby. She came home from the hospital to me. Unfortunately, I didn't get to name her the name I wanted, but she has a beautiful name. And again, the names are changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. So we had a beautiful time together. I say I had her for approximately 4 years. If you heard the other people's story, my sister and my niece, and my sister is no longer with us. And so her story ended when she transitioned. But if you heard them tell the story, it was like 2 weeks. But my baby girl used to call me mama up until she was about 17 years old. And I believe my niece, her mom, have a love-hate relationship with me that she chooses not to deal with. And I allow people to be people. I done everything I could to help her, and I wanted to keep the baby in the family so that she could know her mom and know her family. And then I understood how and why my aunt reared my baby brother. It all comes out. But when she was getting a little older, my sister and my niece wanted to let her go and visit her father's people. And he was a young age as well. And we knew nothing about those people. And I am a mother that's very protective of my little cub, my child, my children. I don't believe in letting them go spend the night with people. And one of the reasons I don't believe in that is I've shared, and maybe one day in another chapter of my story, I'll share this story, but I was molested in the middle of the night. So you don't know what's going on in people's homes in the middle of the night. You don't know. And if you're asleep, you can't help the babies. So I would suggest to anyone, keep your babies with you. You need to know what's happening with your babies at all times. And I know that there are times when you have to go to work and you're going to have to trust somebody. And let's hope that the person that you choose to trust is the right somebody, because we don't know until we know. But anywho, I didn't want her going. They wanted her to go. So then they wanted her to come back. And that was a little tug of war for a minute, because every time she would get sick or she needed something, they would never purchase anything for her, but they would always want me to do it. And I would do it, but it was tearing me down emotionally and mentally. And I went to therapy. I'm a person that believes in self help. Um, I don't know if it's innate, but it's a part of who I am. And so I went to therapy, and I decided I had to let go. And when I say let go, I had to cut off all ties. I had to quit letting her come and spend time with us. I had to quit buying stuff when she needed it. And that was one of the hardest things in my life to do, but I had to do that because I had no control. And I cannot put a child in danger. And to me, that's what was happening. Um, I didn't mind the people coming to visit her, had no problem with that. But I certainly wouldn't allow a kid to go and be with people I know nothing about. And there could have been some problems in their family. I don't know. But be that as it may, as she grew up and she became a mom. So I am a grandmother, not by my son, but by my daughter, because I see her as my daughter. And I see my daughter as I see my mother. Um, she's very hardworking. She's to herself. She does not drink. She does not smoke. She does not party. She does not club. She does not entertain. She has her babies. And all of them but one have the same father. And the one that doesn't is her oldest son. And so I've been tried to be a staple in their lives um, all of her life. And, some people say, well, why do you continue to support her? And, she doesn't even call you and she doesn't let you know what's going on and whatever. And I have to tell y'all, and this is what I tell them, and I've shared this with her. And I don't know if I told y'all, but I did get permission to talk about this story and to tell this story. Um, I got permission from her because I wanted to tell my story in order to help her. But I had to include her in the story, and I didn't want to disrespect her. But I have to tell you, and my mind goes because I have so many things rolling through my mind. And it goes, I was on a road telling y'all some good shit, and it just slipped my damn mind. That's one of those senior moments. That's what I call them. The old folks used to tell us, just keep living. Shit, you too, or lose a train of thought. Sometimes it's fleeting, just rolling by. But anyway, I would tell the people, I don't know what it's like not to be wanted when you were born. I have no idea. My mom worked hard, and she gave us everything she had. So I don't know what that feels like. And then there were issues between she and her mom. Some real ugly things said and done that I care not to repeat. But I don't know what that feels like to have that type of tumultuous relationship with your mom. And to have the privilege of bringing her home from the hospital and giving her what I had, the foundation at least the first 3 to 4 years of her life. Whether she remembers it consciously or not, I know it's in her subconscious, and she's a beautiful person. She doesn't bother anybody. She does not. She's not going to talk much. She's not going to open up. She doesn't have people that she call friends and have them over, or she go visit. She doesn't do any of that. So in my mind, I tell her all the time, I think you live in a state of depression. And I want her to understand that I really don't have a problem with her wanting the relationship that she wants with a mother who's not willing to give it. That's human nature. And I don't have a problem with that because there's nothing I can do about it. But I told her at some point in her life, she's going to have to get that you factor down pat. And she's going to have to dig down deep and find out what in her that keeps her at that point and get past it. The best way to do that is therapy. I suggest that to anyone. You're going through any kind of struggle. And I know that we think that if you go to a therapist that you got to be crazy. What is crazy? People say they're normal. Well, normal is a dial on a washer or a dryer. At least it used to be. Now it's a button. So what is normal? I say all of us are sick. Some of us are sicker than others. And so that's how I approach people. All of us are sick. Some of us are sicker than others. As I spoke on my older sister earlier, she exposed us to a lot of things. Her little siblings. She taught us all how to drive. She took us to North Dallas so that we could see what mansions look like outside of the ones that my mom worked in, and most of those were just regular homes, but a couple of those people had big mansions. But my sister would take us out for North Dallas so we can see how they live. She would take us to Love Field, and we would go and sit outside the airport right on Denton Drive over by the fence and park and watch the airplanes come and go. She took us to Fort Worth Zoo and different places in Fort Worth and Six Flags over Texas, Wet and Wild. So many different places. She took us on trips, New Orleans, Galveston. My sister was always trying to expose us to the finer things in life. And she worked very hard too. So when I think of my daughter, I think of my mama. And when people talk about, damn, she had another one, I don't have a problem with us having another one. Looking at Miss Angela Stanton today, I saw where we're aborting 900 babies a day. 900. And Kwame was showing it on his show, so he asked somebody in the chat to do the math on that. And that turned out to be 3,000, no, excuse me, 328,500 babies a year that we're losing to abortion. Not to mention our sons, and now our mothers and young girls that are at reproduction age that we're losing to the grave and to the penitentiary system. We only make up, they claim, so many percentage, 13 in what? The world. And we're losing numbers like that. And we don't think we have a problem and we want to laugh and talk about anybody that gives birth today and want their children and keep them and rear them and love them with what they have to love. Oh, Houston, I think we have a problem. But like I tell them, I don't have a problem with how many children you have. I really don't. Had my mother not had 8 children, I guarantee you, you wouldn't be hearing the sound of my voice because I'm number 7. So I can relate. And I thank goodness that she decided to keep every last one of us. And even when she allowed her sister to take her baby, she made the best decision that she could make for her baby at the time. And he grew up to be a handsome, tall young man. He's about the tallest one of us. And he's on the road, on his own business. He's doing great. We didn't do bad. It was very hard, but we didn't even know we were poor. And we used to hear people say that shit, and you be saying, "How the hell they don't know they poor?" There really comes a time in one's life when you really don't know that you're poor. So now that brings me to Amy's babies. So my daughter has a daughter, and she started getting into trouble at school. And I used to go pick her up from school when I was getting around better. And the principal came out to the car because I didn't get out. My inability to walk. When I first went off on disability, I had the congestive. Well, I didn't have congestive heart failure then. I just had the 3rd-degree heart block and a pacemaker. But I had real bad musculoskeletal issues. And I probably just fucked that word up. But be that as it may, I had problems with my body. And I couldn't walk good. It hurt real bad. So what I would do is sit in the car and call, and then they would come out to the car. So the principal came, and she was a pretty, beautiful little Moorish American, and she was short and had long, beautiful hair. And so I was telling her who I was and everything. And she said, "Oh, I was an Annie's baby." I said, "Really?" She said, "Please, Annie, don't give up on them. Do not give up on them." She told me about how she used to fight. And the junior high school that we went to, Oliver Wendell Holmes, I went to that same junior high school. She went to that junior high school, lived around the corner, she said, in the Butterbeans. And anybody from this area would know what the Butterbeans are. And she used to fight every day going home. She said girls would want to beat her up because of her long, pretty hair and just, you know, plethora of reasons. But it was really something. And, I said, hey, this baby, I like that. And of course, that gave me the idea because I'm always good with ideas. Executing them is another story. I was complacent in the, I'm going to say, the stagnation of what we call, or some call, Christianity, and where they only teach us about faith and belief, but they never get us to the 3rd degree of that Trinity, which is fruition. So I'm a procrastinator, and I don't complete shit. I have brilliant ideas, brilliant. Or I've seen my millions on TV 1,000 times, on YouTube, rolling down the street, whatever, because I've had many a thoughts. But what I share with people is just like the scripture that says that there is no sin that has overtaken you, and I'm paraphrasing, that is not common to man, because that scripture lets you know that You're not the only one that think the thoughts. We all have the same thoughts, but it's those of us who act on them that get the result of the thought. And so she told me about that, and I came home and went to work, and I had to have my t-shirts made, and I have journals, um, and they're Annie's babies. And so what that means, Annie's baby, is that many of us had mothers who had to work and sisters who had to go to school, or perhaps they had to go to work, or some could have been incarcerated, some maybe even transitioned at a younger age. But had it not been for that Amy that came through when we didn't know how we were going to make it, yeah, that's what Annie Baby is about. Had it not been for that Amy who didn't give up on her sister, yeah, that's what Annie's babies are about. And it's Annie's baby because whoever wears the shirt is the baby of an Annie. And that's the same with Grandma and Pawpaw, because some of us didn't have Annies. Uncle too. Some of us didn't have Annies. But because I am an Annie, and like I said, everybody called me Aunt Shirley. Everybody gonna come by my way, whether I want them to or not. They're gonna eventually come, call, have a question, have a need, and I'm here with open arms. You see, I don't judge people, but I talk about every damn body I know, good, bad, or indifferent. And I really do. And people think because you make that statement that what you're saying about them is bad. No, I said good, bad, and indifferent. No, it's not always bad. It's not. I just wish people would be more honest. And again, that goes back to my mom telling me how my mouth was going to get me in trouble because most people don't want honesty. Lie to me, baby. That's what most people want. Just lie. I don't give a damn what you lie about, just lie. Don't you tell me no truth. I can't handle that. I don't want none. And that's okay too. Be who you are. You can be no more than who you are. The question is, do you know who you are? And I would say 99% of us do not have a clue. We don't even have a clue that we are so far behind in life that we don't even know what we don't know. And that's a dangerous place. Very dangerous place. I try to put in my descriptions of every video a tidbit of knowledge to give you a key to use to go and research and get hungry and start seeing. It's the Christian black codes that they're using against us every day. They are the laws of most municipalities. It's people like Margaret Sanger movement, Planned Parenthood, that's killing our babies daily, and nobody seems to give a damn. On that tape, Miss Stanton said that all the Democrats voted for a bill to allow them to kill a baby up until you get ready to have the baby. You can abort the baby now. That's what they were voting on. And all of the caucus, they call them black caucus, all of those people agreed. I cannot imagine, but they agreed. And they voted for that. But now this bill that they came up with, and she told us this one, And I looked it up and I saved it. And I'm going to try to put it in my description box. But this bill that it's called the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. And it's text S.123, 117th Congress, 2021-2022. All but one Democrat voted for that bill. No. I just said that wrong as hell. Voted against that bill. They wasn't for the life. They was for killing them at birth. And this is all the Democrats that look like us. Okay? So you have to know that all, as they call them, colored folks, ain't skin folks. And all skin folks ain't kin folks. And they don't give a damn about you folks. And you can tell that by the way their children live and the way your children live. See, Johnson told us back in 54 when he was the governor. Well, I think he was the governor. No, he had been in Congress. When he got to Congress, and he told them, don't worry. This was right, leading up to the civil rights that was going on. He told them, don't worry. We'll pick your leaders for you. And then they said, you're going to allow abortions and all other kind of stuff. But we're going to pick them for you. And then it gave them 501c3 agreement. So most of our men became preachers. They put us in a project. And then they told the man he had to go. So we were not allowed to have the fathers in the home. And so I guess when they came, all they did was screw. I don't know. But we couldn't have them in the home. And we blame our men for the condition that they're in. And we're wrong for that. Because put any animal in a cage or in an environment that is not conducive to good health, that is against nature herself, then I guarantee you, you'll see what you see in our communities. But this thing that we have against the women, we have to let that go because we are the stargate. All life flow through us. We're very, very special people. And if you only knew the half of who we were, you would not ever make a derogatory statement towards us. Now, I like the vernacular of cussing. And I like to say that bitch or that hoe if I'm talking about somebody that's not present. And I do that for the lack of a better term or for the humor factor. I don't do that to just blatantly disrespect people. And I damn sure don't do it to fight nobody because I had 3 fights and lost all 3. And that was when I was youthful and thought I was healthy. I damn sure ain't finna go through none of that at 63. Overweight and can barely walk. That shit ain't happening. Touch me, you're going to the penitentiary. Just that simple. I'm not doing no fighting. I can't do it. Don't even want to do no shit like that. Which brings me to October was Domestic Violence Month. My daughter has been the subject of domestic violence, and it has gotten bad. Now, I really love the young man that's the father of her 6 children, but he could be doing much more than what he's doing. I support him and always have, but he could be doing much more by his children. November was Mental Health Month for men. This is the first year I ever heard of that. But they say that's what it is, and so that's what I'm going to call it. November, Mental Health Month for men. Now, all this stuff means something. And man, I don't know if I look like I was about to go to sleep with my mouth open or what. Because I've been up all night. I've been researching and reading. That's what I do. That's how I spend my time. Listening to YouTube, researching and reading. But I need to get to my point. So now we're at Christmas time. And at this Christmas, I'm asking for your help. I have 2 campaigns that I have going on that I seriously need your help. One campaign is the one for my daughter. She would never seek help from anybody. And I support her with everything that I have. But I don't have money like I used to. And my credit is almost shot. But we do what we can. She had a beautiful job working all the time she could work. And unfortunately, she had an accident and fell and broke her ankle in 3 different places or so. It was so bad, she was trying to crawl back to the vehicle, and a lady had to call for the ambulance for her. And they took her to the hospital and wished her away in surgery. They had to perform surgery. And we didn't find out till 2 days later. We didn't know what was happening. Didn't even know nothing had happened until 2 days later. And so now there goes Christmas. And with 7 little ones, with the older 2, I'm sure they're all right. But the little ones, and they age from 7 to 2 months. So here she is, a new mother, going back to work. Remind me of my mama, trying to take care of them babies. And she has an accident. I told her, I think that is the universe way of letting you know that you need to just stay at home with the babies for right now. You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. And you don't have to go outside the home, especially when you're already in the system. And she's working to try to come out. But she has to be whole. And I encourage her as much as she will allow me. And we had a breakthrough, and we've been talking regular. One time her mom said to me, you know, Cheryl, and like I said, I changed the name, so I got to see what name I gave her. Faye doesn't love you. She's just using you. I said, oh, really? She said, yes. She only come to you when she needs something. I said, oh, really? Damn, that's damn near everybody I know. So she is a member of the club. But see, I know that's not true. Now, I don't talk to her often. And she's not going to tell me anything. I had 5 grandbabies that I told her she was pregnant, and she told me she wasn't. I didn't see her for at least 9 months. And about the 10th month, or maybe the ninth, when the baby got here, I heard and saw my grandbaby. Now that's something. And some would say that that's horrible. But I would say, until you can know what it feels like to walk in somebody else's shoes, to be the oldest child of your mom's, and to not be wanted, and to have your sibling embraced, that has to be. I don't know what that feels like, but it has to be a painful feeling. I don't ever want to know what that feels like. Thank goodness I don't have to ever know what that feels like. One of my older sisters and I lived together, and if I didn't have her, I don't know where I'd be, because she has really stepped up. That reminds me of my mama. She takes care of me. I want y'all to know my sister takes care of me. She cooked me breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She did all the shopping, all of it. And I should say she does. I'm a stickler for people, saying the right shit. But I find myself, more I talk, the older I get, I fuck up more words and split more verbs than, the Red Sea. But it is what it is, and I'm real all right with it. But she has really been my saving grace. My oldest sister lived alone, and her daughter is her saving grace. She comes by after working tirelessly and see about her mama. But she doesn't have that everyday connect like I have with my sister. And I'm grateful for it. Now, I'm down to the campaigns. I have it strolling down at the bottom of this video. I'm asking because there are many times on TV and many places you hear about people adopting families and helping families this time of year. Now, before COVID, people were able to work and to make their money and to pay their bills and even to afford luxuries. Um, since COVID, not so much. And I think they said you can't say that word, but since the crown, not so much. Okay. But it is what it is. But there are still some people with generosity in their hearts. And hopefully you listened to this, if you've gotten this far, with an open mind and an open heart. Hopefully you listened this long. I'm a little over an hour, but I had to tell the story. And whosoever will, let them. I am asking that anyone who's willing for the family, it is a mother and 7 children. If you can't afford $5 a child, we would greatly appreciate it. If you can't afford $5 a child and you want to give anything, we would greatly appreciate it. If you don't want to give anything and you just want to lift us up, call us. It's okay. Lift us up. Lift us up. But I have to help make this Christmas a beautiful Christmas, but we just don't have to make this Christmas. We got to get through these months. We've gotten the rent paid and the bills for this month, but we got to see what's going to happen so that we can get them going into the new year. And so I'm not asking you all to buy them a home or anything like that, but whosoever will, if you can give $5 per child, you're giving a child a Christmas and a life for another month or two. Um, One $10 for the mom, or whatever you're willing to give. Because certainly, if you're willing to give more, we truly appreciate that. If you can give what I'm asking, I would greatly appreciate that. If you can give anything, she would truly appreciate that. And that is my first campaign. My second campaign is a young man that's on YouTube that I follow and I really am fond of. I've never met him in real life. I don't know him by way of anything but YouTube. But his work, to me, his investigative reporting is impeccable. He is just as good as any investigative reporter that I've ever seen. And I know that he puts in the work and he does his research. And I know he listens to me. He's been working on a story, and I try not to get into these stories because I did not come on YouTube to solve crime. I did not come on YouTube to get killed for my opinion or for my thoughts because I really don't voice my opinion on YouTube. But he puts in the work, and in this last assignment that he's been working on, he was framed by the police, and I truly believe that with every fiber of my being. I don't know that, I believe that. And knowing and believing kind of is what keeps us stagnated because we refuse to know and we choose to believe all things and anything. But we refuse to believe in ourselves. And that's the hardest thing. Because when you don't believe in yourself, you don't and you can't love yourself. But that's another story in another video. He needs our help. He was falsely arrested. He made bond. And now he's trying to get the best lawyer that he can afford. And so there's a song by the Loons. I got five on it. And they say, grab your plug, glass and keys. I got five on it. Smoking on that. I got five on it. Well, I like the song. The hook is, what I like. And so whenever I'm trying to help someone raise money, then I always think about five on it. And if everybody who hear about it want to give five, and you know a lot of people and they know a lot of people, you could get to where you're going and you haven't depleted the funds of one person. I've given my five, and I hope that others would give theirs. His name is TRURESULTS. I think you should go and just check out his page. We need to keep this young brother in the forefront and let the whatever this system is know that certainly he's loved by many. We know what's going on, and we won't accept anything less than him having a fair chance to defend himself. Now, we can't stop the goons in the streets, as they say, and there is a war going on, it seems, in the city of Memphis, and I didn't say that. It's all over the news on YouTube. But, hopefully he will take care of himself and do what he needs to do. I know in my knower that he's innocent. And that's what I believe. And I'm going to stick to that. I want to support him in any way I can, and this is what I can do. Is let you guys know, and hopefully you guys will have enough generosity to give to both campaigns, one or the other, whichever is fine with me. But I had to do what I could do because there's not much I can do. But I had to do that. We have got to start standing for one another and standing together, especially when people are willing to stand for us. We have a need to know everything in our minds, but we don't want to do anything to acquire the knowledge. And that's a little sad. But again, that has to do with that. I call it, and I don't call it that. That's what they call it in the education system of 1902, docility training for animals under the animal husbandry system, which gives us all the herd mentality. So we have the inability to think for ourselves. We go along with the herd. You know, you ever seen the cows back in the Western days when they're herding the cattle along the cattle trail? And excuse me, but I'm going to need some water because my mouth is getting dry. So give me one moment, please. Mm. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, you remember the cow, the lead cow, and whichever way he goes, the herd will follow. That's what we do as the people. And we do it really unconsciously. Uh, Not all of us, of course. You know, it's not all of nothing. You know, I really don't allege a lot. And the reason why I don't allege a lot is because what I'm saying to you coming from my knowledge, what I know to be true and what I believe to be true. In addition to that, when I do these videos, I do them under the Fair Use Act and I follow the YouTube guidelines to my knowledge. That's what I'm doing. And when I tell you something, I don't tell you it for uh, entertainment purposes. I tell you something for research and for education and for criticism and to have an open dialogue. And that's basically, I'm not an attorney, I don't practice law, I'm not a doctor, I don't practice medicine, I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't practice, therapy of the mind. I can just give you suggestions and tell you what has worked for me. And I'm more than happy to share that. I've lived 63 years and I've gone through a lot. I could tell stories forever. I'm going to get ready to end this video, but I had to come and see everybody because it's been a minute since I've been on. I visited a lot of people, my usuals, um, and I'll shout them out. Um, of course, True Results. He's the first guy that gave me an opportunity to come up live on a video. And then John, he's got John Hinge, John Crimes, and then he has It's Been Real. And I was a guest on It's Been Real, and that catapulted me to a lot of my subscribers. And I thank you guys for still hanging in here with me. And then there is Lewski, We Are One TV. And he invited me up, and we had a beautiful time with his chat. I love Kwame. I look at him daily. And I look at Lady Snoop. I love her voice. And I think I love her reasoning sometimes. But I can't look at too many women calling themselves what they do when our world is in such a bad place. And Lady Snoop tells them that. She basically says that she's just a forum to allow them to hash it out and perhaps move on. They don't always do that, but that is what she's saying. I believe that. I just don't like hearing it. There's so much we could be doing together as a people that we don't do. But I understand why we don't do, because we all suffer, in my opinion, from post traumatic slave disorder. They call this place the land of the free and the home of the brave. I call it the land of the fee and the home of the slave, because they're feeing us out. We pay for everything. I heard somebody say the other day, we ought to be at a point where we done paid off these damn utilities. I say we should never have to pay for something that is freely in the earth, but they find a way to make us pay. So I look at self talk and Rich, I do know, I look at him. There are a few people I look at, and Taj Tariq Bey, the Grand Sheikh, and Dr. Naila Gilliam are certainly the people that I follow, study, write, research, learn. I'm trying to see what I did with my thing. I'm going to have to take a minute because my throat is dry again. One moment, please. Okay, I'm back. I thank you for spending this time with me if you've stayed this long. I hope that you can join me in my campaigns and let's make a difference in the lives of some children and their mom and truth. I hope that we can do that. There's also a lady that I look at, and her name is Be About the Facts. And there's another one, and she was on the show with True and I the first time he invited me up, and that's God's Girls World. And so I would ask that you check all of these people out. I love looking at Choke No Joke. I love what he's doing with R. Kelly. It's phenomenal. And I stand behind him 100%. I support a lot of people in the YouTube world. Some I used to support and I stopped. But I used to support them because I thought that they were giving me what I needed. So I hope that any and all would look at this video and support me in my campaigns. But no love is lost if you can't. I am truly grateful just for the idea, or if you've gotten this far and heard it, I thank you. Maybe you can't help, but you know someone that can. Feel free to give them my cash out, Toothless Tiger, $ in the front. Anything. We're grateful. We're not begging, but we're certainly asking. I believe we have not because we ask not, and therefore I believe in asking. And anyone knows me knows that. I don't hint around the bush. I ask. Yeah, and it's according to who you are. I'll get mad if you don't give it to me. but that's normally somebody that's very close to me. And they tell me, you can't get mad at people about their own shit. I can't get mad. It ain't gonna mean shit, but I can get mad. I just don't have to stay there. Because remember, the you factor. It all goes back to you. Anything you do in life, you're going to have to do it. You want a job, you're going to have to get up and look for one. You may get lucky, and somebody might tell you about one. Somebody may just hand you a job, but you got to go and perform the duties. Anything in life, if you don't show up, you're not going to get it. It's a beautiful thing to live in fantasy. And I'm not saying to stop, believing what you believe. But I'd like for you to just write down. And I'm not talking about writing down what the Lord did for me because he gave me a car. I'm not talking about that. But just write down what he has done for our people collectively. And I'm just talking about here in the Americas. Then look globally and see where our people stand. The Moorish nation that loves calling themselves Negro, Black, and Colored, and Indian, that keeps us out of the human family. Those are legal statuses and brand names. But of course, you would have to study to know that. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to write me no long notes in the comments. I'm only talking about our bloodline. I'm not talking about any organization, and I'm not against any organization. But it's not about organization. It's about being human. It's about being a family. And in case you didn't know it, family comes from actually nations. Nations come from nativity. Nativity comes from your mother, the navel cord that goes with the baby that comes out. I once asked a girl who told me she stood on the promise of God. And I asked her, what was the promise? And I was just talking about one because I know it's 7,000 or more that are written. And the promise that I was talking about, I just knew everybody knew it. It's in Genesis, but she couldn't tell me. But I'm going to tell you guys the promise that I was telling her. That the promise was made to Abraham that he would be the father of many nations. Nations are made through families. Families makes communities. And we're down to hoods, neighborhoods that we're given, and then they're taken by gentrification. People, we're going to have to start reading. We're going to have to start learning because we're now in an age where this artificial intelligence is not playing. I don't even like the computer and the gadgets, the phones, but I've got to learn a little more than what I used to know if I am to survive, you know, and thrive because, the computer doesn't determine my breath. But as long as I have breath in my right mind, I need to be able to navigate through the waters of life. And the way you do that is by arming yourself. And the way you arm yourself is to become knowledgeable. For it is written, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. On that note, I want to say thank everybody for listening to me this long, and I hope that some will. Uh, I'm going to say to you, because this is what you believe, Merry Christmas. I love this time of year. I love the trees. I love the decorations. I love the lights. And we normally go Christmas looking. I take the children. For the last couple of years, we rent a bus and we go and look at the Christmas lights. I love the cooking and the food. I love it all, but I see it different today. So you will see me and hear me say a lot of things and participate in things, but my concepts are not all. And so I do things today because I choose to. It is tradition, and some traditions are worth keeping. And then there are some you might want to start on your own. But also, I'd like to expose children to the anthropomorphic fairy tales that we grew up on by telling them also the truth. But I want them to know that nostalgic feeling. And it looks like I keep looking over to one side. It's funny being on this YouTube. It really is. And I want y'all to know old Toothless done put on a pound or two. Those Mac ribs are back, and I've been Mac ribbing it. And I know that shit ain't no good, but I loves them Mac ribs. So with that, I'm going to say, have a beautiful day, and hope to see you soon. Good day.